What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global back here with another video, and in this one, we're going to be talking about how New England Patriots running back Sony Michel is recovering from yet another surgery. Before we hop into this one, though, I do need to give a shout out to my newest Patreon, Lime Perrier. My guy, I want to thank you for going that extra mile, supporting me, supporting the channel, and of course, being the newest Patreon to join our New England Patriots Discord. Now, if you want to become a Patreon, grab some benefits such as supporting me and the channel tremendously, but also being able to join a Patreon-only Discord with me and other Patreons just like you, along with being able to get a shout out on my next video, coming onto the channel and talking New England Patriots football, or playing one-on-one Madden. If this is something that interests you, go ahead and check the link in the description below to my Patreon under the description how to support the channel. But as for Sony Michel, the New England Patriots running back underwent a minor. And that is something that I do want to stress here. This isn't anything major. It's nothing too significant. It was a minor foot surgery that he got in May, according to ESPN's Mike Reese. Now, him getting the surgery did not come down to the fact, more so to injury. It didn't come back to the fact that he sustained some type of problem throughout the season. It was, and I quote, more maintenance-based. That was the surgery type. It was more so focused on minor discomforts that he has been having. Now, that is still huge, not in the sense of it's a big surgery, but in the sense of clearly Sony Michel was playing through some discomfort this past season, and of course, he wasn't looking exactly the same. He wasn't the Sony Michel that we saw his rookie season. He wasn't the Sony Michel that we saw in college. And of course, multiple things go into that, but the fact that he was playing with at least clearly some discomfort goes to show a lot. Of course, the big thing to mention here is the fact that the Patriots are going to be set to begin training camp in late July. This is a set thing. It's going to be happening. The boys are going to be getting back to training, but it is unclear whether Sony Michel will be able to return by then, if his recovery time is going to be in a place where he's able to return to the field at that point. It's very much up in the air. Like always with surgeries, especially this one where we're not getting too much information, it's going to be the type of thing where they have to take it day by day. You know, how he progresses is going to determine, okay, he's able to get back on the field, he's able to start training now. Again, we don't know if he's going to be able to be a good go for the start of training camp, but what I do expect is that he'll be at least a 100% go for the start of the regular season. Something to monitor, though, as we get closer and closer to the start of the New England Patriots 2020 training camp is to see, okay, how is Sony Michel starting training camp? Is he starting on the PUP list, which again is the physically unable to perform list? Is he a guy that they kind of just didn't put on the PUP list, but his name isn't being really said? Or is he a full participant? Now, Sony's going to be heading into the third year of his 4-year rookie contract, and of course, he's going to be a big factor for this upcoming season. I made an entire video about this, how Sony Michel is going to be an important piece for the Patriots in 2020, more specifically offensively, how he's going to be set for a breakout year, or at least is going to be given the opportunity to have a breakout year, but really, you look at his first 2 seasons with the Patriots, and they've been pretty successful. Maybe he hasn't put up 1,000+ yards. He might not be your definition of elite. He really isn't a top 10 running back in the league, but he still has had a good amount of success, especially compared to much other running backs in the league, putting up over 900 yards in both of his first 2 seasons. I mean, let's remember that in his first year with the Patriots, he broke playoff records and won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. A big reason they got to the Super Bowl and won it was because of Sony Michel. Now, of course, people are going to say, but Patriots Global, he did not look great this past season. And I mean, yeah, I can't argue with that. You know, there were times that he looked really good, and there were times that he did not look good, especially to start the season for the Patriots this past season, and he definitely did not look what he looked like in his first year with the Patriots. Despite this, though, he still was able to produce 912 yards along with 7 touchdowns, and I think that when you look at Sony Michel, you have to look at the contributing cast that went along with it last year. I mean, people are going to be really picky on Sony Michel, but to be quite honest, what part offensively was successful last year? It wasn't the quarterback. It wasn't the wide receivers. It wasn't the tight ends. It wasn't the play calling. Everything was bad. And when you look at Sony Michel, he's more of that, give him blocks. He's an elusive guy, a guy that is able to get through some tackles from time to time because he's a bigger back, and he's a guy that has strength to him to be more of a power back in the league. But what blocks did he honestly have? The starting center, David Andrews, was out for the entire season, so we had a backup at center. Shaq Mason didn't play all that well. Marcus Cannon was dealing from injuries from time to time. Isaiah Wynn was dealing with injuries. He was out for about half of the season. Our offensive line essentially was filled with a bunch of second to third string guys with very minimal first string starting players. The next factor you look into is fullback. James Devlin was a huge factor to Sony Michel, a huge factor to the running game. The Patriots didn't have a fullback. You know, you can try to tell me that Landon Roberts was successful as much as you want. It was cool seeing him in there, but he plays defense for a reason. He plays linebacker for a reason. He's not a fullback, and he's definitely not James Devlin. That did not help Sony Michel out in his production either. Then you look at the tight ends. The Patriots did not have any, and I mean any, blocking tight ends to be able to get the job done this season, especially compared to what Sony had his freshman season with the Patriots in Dwayne Allen and Rob Gronkowski. Essentially, he was just not put in the place to succeed. Now, the reason that Sony Michel getting yet again another surgery being more of a concern for the Patriots is because the amount of surgeries he's had to get, the injuries he's had. Let's keep in mind that he's had a good amount of injury concerns. That is something that was really knocking his draft status down. A lot of people saw him being a guy that, was more selected in the second round or later. People didn't think that he was going to be a first-round selection, not because of the talent, but because of the injury concerns. He's a guy that a lot of people feel could only have a couple of good seasons in the league rather than multiple, healthy seasons. Could really be dictated by the injuries that he's having. His knees definitely have been the biggest, and I mean biggest concern here for Sony Michel. Let's remember that he had fluid drained from his knee ahead of his rookie season and also twisted his knee later that same year. Luckily enough, though, this past season, Sony didn't sustain any injuries. He didn't miss any games for the Patriots. Wasn't expecting that to happen, but super glad that he was able to stay healthy. But, of course, we then hear that he was dealing with some discomfort that had to result in a minor surgery. Now, luckily enough for the Patriots, they do have a very deep running back group in the NFL. You can argue with me on this one all you want, but I think that it is the deepest in all of the NFL. That's not to say that one specific guy is able to compete with the other running backs in the league, but as a unit, the diversity that these guys have, I personally think that it's the best depth in all of the league. Having Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead, Damian Harris, and Brandon Bolden. Let's also remember they have J.J. Taylor fighting to make this roster. If Sony does have to miss the beginning of the season, or at least to start the season, has to get a few touches taken away from him, I think that the Patriots should be fine. Now, the second part to this, though, is I've seen a lot of people saying, Patriots Global, this is Damian Harris's time. Damian Harris is going to be the guy. Damian Harris is going to take away the snaps from Sony Michel. And while I do think Damian Harris is going to be more productive than last season, he's going to be given more of a chance, I'm telling you right now, that is not going to be the case that happens. I think if anybody is going to take these snaps away from Sony Michel, it is going to be a guy like Rex Burkhead. Let's remember that Damian Harris more so is competing with a guy like Rex Burkhead because of just how similar the two are. But, as much as we've all said, maybe it's time for Rex Burkhead to get out of here. Maybe it's time for the Patriots to possibly seek a trade for Burkhead. The Patriots have made it clear several times that they are very high on Rex Burkhead, despite his injury history. They love him. Everybody on the coaching staff, a lot of fans still love him. So if I want to be honest, at least right now, I don't see any way that the New England Patriots are going to ship him off. However the Patriots start the season, though, however they start the beginning of their training camp, Sony Michel is going to be a vital piece to this New England Patriots offense, and again, their success with so many questions surrounding the wide receivers and the passing game and Jared Stidham. And let's remember that Sony Michel essentially is their go-to running back in the running game. But that is going to be it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on Sony Michel getting another surgery this offseason, this time being a foot surgery rather than a knee surgery? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video if you haven't already, guys. It really helps me and the channel out so much, and you guys don't have to pay a single cent. Consider subscribing to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news if you haven't already. But other than that, I'll catch you guys in my next video.